Chapter 1: History, the Medieval World. After carefully observing the two maps, we find that they are quite different even though they are of the same area. Thus, different historians use different types of sources to establish something about the past. In this class, we are going to learn about the history of 1000 years, roughly 700 to 1750. You will notice some continuity in the sources used by historians for the study of the period. The number and variety of textual records increased dramatically during this period. Though this period later became more widely available, people used it to write holy texts, chronicles of rulers, letters and teachings of saints, petitions and judicial records, and the registers of accounts and taxes. Monasteries were collected by wealthy people, rulers, monasteries and temples. They were placed in libraries and archives. Their manuscript and documents provide a lot of detailed information to historians, but they are also difficult to use. There was no printing press in those days, so scribes copied manuscripts by hand. Copying a document again and again is not an easy job. As scribes copied manuscripts, they unwillingly left small changes such as words, sentence, etc. therein. Thus we rarely find an original manuscript of the author of the past. We are totally dependent upon the copies made by later scribes. As a result, historians have to read different manuscript versions of the same text to guess what the author had originally written. One occasion is revised many times by authors in their chronicles at different times. The noted chronicler of 14th century, Ziauddin Barni, wrote his chronicle first in 1356 and another version 2 years later. The two differ from each other, but historians did not know about the existence of the first version until the 1960s. New social and political groups. The study of the period between 700 and 1750 is a big challenge for the historians. This period largely underwent variety of developments. At different moments in this period, new technologies like the use of Persian wheel in irrigation, the spinning wheel in weaving, firearms in combats, etc. were introduced. New foods and beverage like potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee arrived in the subcontinent. This was also a period of great mobility. One group of people who became important in this period were the Rajputs, a name derived from Rajputra, the son of a ruler. Between the 8th and 14th centuries, the term Rajput was largely used to indicate a group of warriors who claimed Kshatriya caste status. The term Kshatriya included not only for rulers and chieftains but also for soldiers and commanders of army. A chivalric code of conduct, extreme valor and a great sense of loyalty were the qualities attributed to people such as the Marathas, Sikhs, Jats and Kayasthas. Also used the opportunities of the age to become politically important. Throughout this period there was a gradual clearing of forests and the extension of agriculture, a change faster and more complete in some areas than in others. Changes in their habitat forced many forest dwellers to migrate. Others started tilling the land and become peasants. Then new peasant groups gradually began to be influenced by regional market, chieftains, priests, monasteries and temples. They become part of large, complex societies and were required to pay taxes and offer goods and services to local lords. As society became more differentiated, people were grouped into jatis or subcastes and ranked on the basis of their backgrounds and their occupations. Jatis framed their own rules and regulations to manage the conduct of their members. Together they were only one small unit of a state. Region and empire. By too many regions already possessed distinct geographical dimensions and their own language and cultural characteristics. You will learn more about these in this book. Occasionally dynasties like the Cholas, Khilji, Tughlaqs and Mughals were able to build an empire that was pan-regional, spanning diverse regions. Not all these empires were equally stable or successful. When the Mughal Empire declined in the 18th century, it led to the emergence of regional states. But years of imperial pan-regional rule had altered the character of the regions. Through the 1,000 years between 700 and 1750, the character of the different regions did not grow in isolation. These regions felt the impact of larger regional forces of integration without ever quite losing their distinctiveness. Old and new religions. It was during this period that important changes occurred in what we call Hinduism today. There included the worship of new deities, the construction of temples by loyalty, and the growing importance of Brahmins, the priests, as dominant group in the society. Their knowledge of Sanskrit texts earned the Brahmins had a lot of respect in society. Their dominant position was consolidated by the support of their patrons. Many rulers were patrons of Islam, and the ulama learned theologians and jurists. And like Hinduism, Islam was interpreted in by its followers. There were the Shia Muslims who believed that the Prophet Muhammad, the son-in-law, Ali, was the legitimate leader of the Muslim community, and the Sunni Muslims who accepted the authority of the early leaders, caliphs, to the community, and the succeeding caliphs. There were other important differences between the various schools of law, and in theology and mystic traditions. Thinking about time and historical periods, in the middle of the 19th century, British historians divided the history of India into three periods: Hindu period, Muslim period, and British period. The division made by British historians was based on the idea that the religion of rulers was the only important historical change, and that there were no other significant developments in the economy, society, or culture. Such a division also ignored the rich diversity of the subcontinent. These 1,000 years of Indian history witnessed considerable changes. After all, the 16th and 18th centuries were quite different from the 8th to the 11th. Therefore, describing the entire period as one historical unit is called medieval period. Moreover, the medieval period often serves as the basis of the modern period. Modernity carries with it a sense of material progress and intellectual advancement. This seems to suggest that the medieval period was lacking in any change whatsoever. But of course we know this was not the case. During their 1,000 years, the societies of the subcontinent transformed political and economies. Several regions reached a level of prosperity that attracted the interest of European trading companies. Characteristics of medieval period. The following are the main characteristics of medieval period. 1. Many historical monuments and temples were built during this period, such as Taj Mahal. 2. The caste system became more rigid. The languages are being spoken nowadays developed in this period. 3. The food and clothes are being eaten and worn nowadays became popular in the medieval period. 4. Medieval period gave India a multicultural legacy with the fusing of Hindu and Muslim culture. With this intermixture of religious communities, a composite culture has developed and flourished in this period.